South Africa's born-free generation. The born-free generation in South Africa was born after the 1994 historic first democratic elections and has lived only under a democracy. South Africa is a relatively young nation with about 40% of the population born after 1994, and by 2014, nearly 2 million were eligible to vote for the first time in a general election. The born-free generation, aged 18 to 30, represented a substantial segment of the eligible voting population in 2024, estimated at about nearly 12 million people. This demographic could have been a decisive factor in the election results due to its large size. Despite their numbers, reports indicate lower registration rates among young people compared to older generations. Only 4.4 million of the 11 million South Africans aged 20 to 29 registered to vote in the 2024 general elections. The born-free generation has never experienced apartheid, a brutal era where minority white rule dominated other races. This is the generation whose parents fought for freedom and democracy. Unlike its parents, this generation was born as a participant and stakeholder in a real democracy with unalienable rights to cast a vote, freedom of speech, assembly, and movement. The born-free generation of South Africa is a microcosm of the youth in almost every nation in Africa in terms of their aspirations and expectations from their respective governments. In South Africa alone, it is now estimated that youth unemployment is more than 50% of this generation of the youth, double the national average. Youth unemployment is a time bomb without borders for Africa at large. The single most damaging loss of dignity by the African youth is the inability to find meaningful work and financial independence. Unemployment is a continuing scourge in our society that inflicts pain and can lead to severe loss of human identity and dignity, when even the most basic essentials of life are unaffordable. It is frequently responsible for the breakups of families and entire communities. The division between those who have work and those who do not casts blight on the whole nation and triggers social ills such as high crime rates and can potentially create a breeding ground for extremism. African governments must pay particular attention to this generation. It is a hopeful generation that carries in them the possibilities of a better and innovative life for the continent. The born-frees of South Africa have been born in an era where their nation has undergone a transformation of enormous proportions. By implication, they are now free from institutionalized racial discrimination and having freedom of access to employment without job reservation that restricted and excluded their parents from mainstream employment. Nigeria, on the other hand, is the most populous nation on the African continent, with a population of over 150 million people. 20 million Nigerian youths are unemployed and are a security threat susceptible to violence, crime, and extremism. Developmental initiatives across various sectors of government aimed at primarily addressing the problem of unemployment in Nigeria are regrettable and hardly visible. Most of the initiatives fall short in terms of scope and scale. The initiatives are inhibited by not being youth-specific, poor collaboration and cooperation across the sectors, outdated and theoretical training models that do not meet the challenges of today's modern youth. How free are the born frees? A range of crippling deficiencies and seemingly insurmountable challenges stumbles their aspirations. Unless African leaders address the youth opportunities challenge, much of their freedom and aspirations will be robbed. These challenges are mainly caused by poverty, which is an offshoot of poor education, dysfunctional family life, and unemployment. In the advent of globalization and social media connectivity, the African youth is exposed and wants the same branded consumer goods just like the youth in the United States, Hong Kong, or South Korea. Most importantly, they also aspire for the same opportunities for a decent education and a career. Yet this generation is captive to unrealistic expectations when the economies they live in are not delivering the kind of growth that would sustain this exploding demographic.